Welcome to NEXTGames video on how to solo the high tier mission battlefield Dawn on both normal and difficult difficulties. This fight has two phases, with the first being far easier than the second. I'm using my usual set of followers for this one, with one exception. Yoran keeps me alive and is great at removing enfeebles from me quickly. Koru for haste and extra cures. Ulmia for march. Seth helps continually restore HP, MP, and TP to the party, and lastly, I have swapped Ferris Coffin in place of Shantoto. Ferris is great at removing Plague and Curse, and both of those will be inflicted upon you many times during this fight. Before we get started, let's go over the moves you will be seeing Promethea use in Phase 1 of this fight. These are Promethea's abilities and magic in Phase 1. It's important to note that all of the abilities will completely ignore your shadows. This means it's not going to wipe them, but they also aren't going to help you in any way either, so all of these moves will hit you for their full damage. It is important to still have shadows up though, as they will still block individual melee round attacks, as well as the Comet spell that Promethea has access to in this phase. The first ability we're going to talk about is Empty Salvation. It hits you and your entire party for 500 to 1000 damage. It will additionally dispel 3 effects. Most commonly this will be Protect and Shell, but can also hit things such as your Bard Songs and Haste. This will make it so that Yoran, Koru, and Ulmia are continually reapplying these buffs throughout the fight. The next two moves are very similar in that they're both conal damage for 1000 to 1500. So due to this, it is very important that you have Promethea facing away from your party at all times during this fight. When Pestilent Penance hits you, it's going to inflict Plague, and when Malevolent Blessing hits you, it's going to inflict Curse. The good thing is, as long as you have Ferris Coffin in this fight, he will have both of these enfeebles removed from you within 1 second. So, other than the 1000 to 1500 damage, it's not going to be that difficult of a move to deal with. The last ability he has access to is Infernal Deliverance. This one will also hit your entire party for 500 to 1000 damage and stun them for 1 to 3 seconds. The last thing that Promethea has access to in this first phase is the spell Comet. This is what's most easily dealt with during this fight, as it is absorbed by a single shadow. So as long as you have at least one shadow up, this move is not going to do any damage to you. Otherwise, it will hit you for upwards of 1500 damage. To start, I'm simply activating Unit. You will want to hit Promethea immediately with 2 stutter steps, and then Animated Flourish. Then pull Promethea to the side of the arena and start tanking him. The mages will be busy buffing for the first 30 seconds or so of the fight, so make sure you keep yourself cured and get Haste Samba up as soon as you can. At this point in the fight, you will want to start storing TP for the next phase. Make sure you have the maximum finishing moves stored, and have as much TP as possible by the end of this phase. Now let's see what Phase 1 looks like when attempted on the difficult difficulty level. Now let's talk about the abilities that Promethea gains access to in Phase 2. First, it's important to note Promethea has access to all of the abilities from Phase 1, in addition to all of these abilities listed here. The first one we'll talk about is Wheel of Impregnability. This is a 30-second invincible for Promethea. Now, you're not going to be able to damage him during this time, because all of your melee swings will hit for 0, as will your weapon skill, but at the same time, you're not going to be feeding him any TP. so usually he won't do any other moves during this period of time, which gives your mages a good period of time, 30 seconds here, to get all of the party and yourself cured back up to full again. The next move we'll talk about is Bastion of Twilight. You actually prefer he uses this move over any of the others, because all it really does is give him a magic shield, and since we're not doing any magic damage to them, this in no way really affects us. The next ability we're going to talk about is Seal of Quiescence. This ability is the main reason we have chosen to choose Dancer as our sub-job for this battlefield. This can silence you and your entire party for up to 75 seconds. Silena and Echo Drops are completely ineffective at removing it, and although Yoran is very good at resisting enfeebles most of the time, this one will always land on him. So all this basically means there's up to 75 seconds that there's not going to be any cures or buffs dished out by your mages. Main way we deal with this is Healing Waltz. If you use Healing Waltz, it will immediately remove the silence. So my recommendation is, once he uses the Seal of Quiescence move, immediately use Healing Waltz on yourself, wait for the recast to be up, which is 8 seconds, then cast Healing Waltz on Yoran, then wait 8 seconds for it to be up, and then cast Healing Waltz on Ferris Coffin. At that point, all three of them should be good to cast spells again, and you can go back to fighting. The next move is Winds of Oblivion. This is an AoE amnesia that will be inflicted on both you and all of your trusts for up to 75 seconds. This one isn't so bad as you can continue to melee for your full damage, you just can't weapon skill or use any of your dancer abilities. The really big risk here is if he happens to use Winds of Oblivion, and then sometimes before that wears off, use a Seal of Quiescence, because then your entire party is left without the ability to cure you, and you are unable to get it off yourself because you are unable to use any of your dancer abilities because of the amnesia. So that is the most dangerous part of this entire run, is if he happens to do those two back to back. Otherwise, this is pretty easily dealt with. You just keep using your melee swings while Winds of Oblivion is on you, and then once the amnesia wears off, weapon skill, and get back to work. The last spell we're going to talk about is Meteor. This is definitely the most dangerous ability. It is an AoE magic damage spell that can do up to 2,000 damage to each player. Additionally, there is a risk that if Empty Salvation was used right before you started casting Meteor, you and your trust will not have shell up at the time it goes off. If this happens, it will hit for an additional 500 damage. This makes it so that once we get to Phase 2, any of your trust could be defeated at any time with the use of Meteor. This is the secondary reason of why it is we've chosen to use the Dancer sub-job. Try and get as much damage as you can in before your trusts start dying, but if you happen to lose your mages, you always have the Dancer sub-job to fall back on in order to cure yourself. Additionally, you can use Healing Waltz to remove Silence, Plague, and Curse. Now let's see what Phase 2 looks like on both normal and difficult difficulties. white mages made it to the end of that fight, go figure. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and post them down there in the comments section. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. Additionally, you may be asking yourself why it is I chose to beat it on the difficult difficulty if I can beat it so easily on normal. In case you're unaware, on the difficult difficulty, you're given a 100% chance if you win to get one of these drops that you see on your screen right now. Meanwhile, if you beat it on the normal difficulty, you only get about a 10 to 20% chance of one of these items dropping. So if you are after a specific item in this run, for instance the doublet, the difficult difficulty level will definitely get you it much faster if you can manage it. I hope you found this helpful. Have a great day all.